Alright, how's it hanging, dudes? Welcome to the live stream. I think it's up and running right. It's going good. I had to get to where I could see the chat on my phone. It was taking a second, so I decided to play some music. So yes, we are going to be doing an open debate today. If I might have to switch it up a little bit. I'm not sure how, with the desktop audio, how that would do, if the audio would be crap for you guys. But you guys can hop into Discord and you can join this call waiting area right here. And I'll pull you up in here to debate stuff with me if you guys want to debate, or if you just want to talk about Yang and whatnot. What's up? What's good? And you can do that. And how do you do that? Is you go to the main channel page here, right here where it says the Echo Chamber, appropriately named, right? Because we're all pro Yang. So the Discord server is right here. You guys can click that, hop in. Those of you who find this stream and disagree, all good. You know what I mean? Hop in. Let's talk about it. You know what I'm saying? So welcome to our first live stream on this channel, guys. You know, I think it's awesome. Anyways, the Yang Media blackout is in full swing. My video on the Yang Media blackout was actually demonetized. Yeah, it was demonetized, and it's under review. So let's just hope it's just faulty algorithm and not actually part of the you know, whatchamacallit, the actual blackout. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't want that to happen. We don't want that to happen. But if you guys want, hop in Discord. You can send some articles in the chat in Discord, and we're going to look at some stuff, guys. So, media bias in the Democratic primary. There are two types of biases at play in the media, and both contribute to unfairness: bias in tone and bias in volume. For example, an op-ed attacking Beto O'Rourke use of Latino nicknames is based in tone, and an infographic in a candidate fundraising include the top fundraisers except for Yang is an example of bias in volume. So, yeah, that's a thing, right? Both types of bias were very visible in 2016, but it's much easier to establish bias in volume than bias in tone. So I will be concentrating on bias in volume, mainly using the data viable from the 538 and list, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I don't want to bore you guys with this stuff. But there's definitely bias going on, you know what I mean? And it's kind of sad. It really is. It really is. So if you guys want me to watch videos, if you guys got articles, go ahead and post them. Let's see. Why is YouTube is acting like all these messages can't? Anyway, so let's see here. Yeah, I mean, it's not really viable for everybody just to head to Iowa. Anybody who can should, though. I definitely agree with that. I'm hoping Biden drops out by December. Yes, me too. I've also got a video coming out right at the end of the stream about why Joe Biden can't win. So hopefully the stream will be all right. And I want to. Oh, Kai Watson uploaded. That's an old video. Let's see. Let's go to subscriptions, guys. Subscriptions. 25 minutes ago. How to beat the Yang Media blackout.
My name is Kai Watson. I make videos about Andrew Yang, the Yang Gang.
Let me know if this audio is bad for you guys.
Welcome back. Awesome.
Kai Watson's actually a pretty good Yang Media, a Yang tuber. He's out there really doing good stuff, guys.
But first, I want to mention, guys, I'm still doing the Nerds for Yang Secure the Bag Challenge. Basically, me and some other creators have our own ActBlue link. It's exactly the same as donating through the campaign. And if you guys donate through my link, I get credited for generating the donation. And if I generate some of the most donations for Andrew Yang, I will get a chance to actually interview him on the Nerds for Yang channel. If you guys want to give me the chance to interview Andrew, as well as take questions for you guys to ask Andrew, just go ahead and donate to Andrew through my AskBlue link down below. Awesome. Guys, let's get started. So right now what's going on is a lot of the media channels are giving a lot of the other candidates the opportunity to voice their opinions on certain topics, right?
Again, let me know, guys, if the audio's messing with you or not. I think it might be. I can switch it up to my headphones so my my soundboard doesn't pick up the microphone audio, you know, so it doesn't make that echo. Let me know.
Maybe some big event happens and they go, hey, Pete, almost Buttigieg. hey, Pete Buttigieg, what are your thoughts on this? And they air him on live TV, and the millions of people watching at a time get to see him. Or they'll be like, hey, so right now, let's compare Bernie and Elizabeth Warren's healthcare, and they'll do a segment on that, maybe asking both of them to pitch their responses. Overall, that's going on, but they'll never give a segment about Andrew Yang. Every once in a while, they will, and then we might get a chance to see that on Zach and Matt's show, but overall, we're not getting that kind of coverage. We're getting completely ignored by the mainstream media. And I think there's different reasons for that happening. I think some are more malicious than others. I think MSNBC might be more malicious than CNN.
Audio's good. All right, cool.
Like, they don't know whether they take him seriously or not, although they should.
The play this guy on 75%. Hey, man, he's out there fighting the fight. You know what I'm saying?
The way they cover Yang, but when they do a good job. So yes, I think overall the media blackout completely exists. It just varies on its severity depending on each channel. But I'm going to pitch some ideas that I think we can actually circumnavigate that.
All right,
so
pitches.
Far, a lot of our growth has been done to podcasts, right? Podcasts have been great, videos, YouTube, all of that. We've been dominating that. Thank God for that. If we did not have control over that, and if Yang did not go on so many podcasts, we would have absolutely no shot of winning. Let's be clear about that. And the thing about podcasts and YouTube channels is that they have very loyal audiences. I've made this point before, I'm going to make it again. For example, my mom listens to the New York Times podcast all the time. That podcast has a very dedicated audience that's probably pretty politically inclined. On the other hand, somebody like Casey Neistat, who's a really famous YouTube blogger, he has like 5 million subscribers. I don't remember how many subscribers. I think he has like over 10 million subscribers. Those people are more into the social aspect.
What got taken down?
Blogs, technology. That's why they follow someone like Casey Neistat, while my mom follows somebody like New York Times. So
the Matt Dizzle thing?
Like, Casey Neistat fan listens to like all of Casey Neistat's podcasts, his videos, and stuff like that. But what happens is that when somebody like Andrew Yang goes on like the Casey Neistat podcast, then the millions of viewers who are not politically inclined, the people who are not watching mainstream news every day, they suddenly get to hear about Andrew Yang, right? And they listen to everything that Casey puts out. So then they become Yang Gang, right? That becomes a completely core audience that is, I could argue, as big as mainstream media. I think Casey Neistat's audience, the people that watch his videos, every time he uploads a video, he gets 3 million views. That's as many as people that are consecutively watching something like CNN or MSNBC. It's different because a lot of the mainstream channels are 24/7, but still, the audience size is still the same. I think we put too much emphasis on the strength of the media when we should look at also the strength of other forms of media as well, especially on YouTube, Twitter, or the podcast format. So I guess that is kind of my big point. The idea is like we should be looking for different platforms that still reach the same amount of people, because we know that the unique thing about Yang's message is that everybody can like it immediately. If you're somebody who doesn't care about politics or anything, you might not like listening to Kamala Harris. No matter what, if you hear her, you might be like, I don't care at all. Yang is different. Yang's talking about putting $1,000 a month into your pocket. You listen, you like his ideas, and that way Yang's unique and it helps us out when it comes to growth. I think one thing that Yang could be going on is Ben Baller. Ben Baller is a really
Warren definitely taken from Yang, that's for sure. We'll make a video on that here in a day or so.
These people are perfect for liking Yang's message, right? So Ben Baller talks about how he wants to interview Andrew, talk to him on his podcast or something, or have him on his Instagram. This is huge. The platform is ginormous. The actual culture of the
ginormous
culture, I think, is definitely on par with the amount of people that pay attention to politics. It's huge, right? This is a market that Yang can tap into. In the same way that he succeeded with getting followers through Joe Rogan, he can do the same thing through Ben Baller and the people that follow him. If you're just a regular Yang Gang member and you see one of your favorite influencers talk about how he wants to talk to Yang, and you know that they have tons of followers and they have a ton of their own internet network and ecosystem, right? Get that going. Let me know in the DMs. Let all the Yang Gang know. We'll share it. We'll get Yang's attention.
Yeah, he's not wrong about that. I mean, I have some videos on my channel that's upwards of almost 1 million views, right? And the reason why I started making videos was because I seen Yang on Joe Rogan podcast. I'm a former right wing leaning person, so Yang has that appeal, and he's soaking up so many people. It's just, of course, the people they poll isn't the people he's soaking up online, unfortunately. So yeah,
and him and the campaign can go do that, and that way grow even more. So again, Ben Ball is a big example. I think Hot Ones is another great one that he needs to go on. Hot Ones has millions of viewers as well. And if these different media platforms that he should go on, if they're in the long form, that's even better, because then he gets to show a little bit more about who he is, and then also his policies. People like to know who Andrew Yang is, and then they like to hear, okay, now he wants to give me $1,000 a month. I trust this person. I know who he is now. I think Hot Ones would be a great platform for that, in the same way that podcasts were great for him in the beginning. And there's a lot of late shows that he needs to go on. I think Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. I know that he's going on Jimmy Fallon later this month. I don't know if everybody was aware of that. He needs to do stuff like that. James Corden, Ellen's a big one. We know the producer of Ellen is Yang Gang. These kind of things.
Chris Baker, you got an archive link of that? Anybody got that saved? Send it to me.
People pay a lot more attention when they're watching Ellen than if they just turn on the TV and have the news on, right? It's very different. It's all about finding audiences that are on par with the size of the news, but are more dedicated, right? The followers of Ellen are a lot more dedicated than followers of CNN, and just through the exposure and the ability for Yang to go into his policies in depth, those kind of platforms are amazing, and that's what we need to get on, and I think that would translate to a ton of more conversion.
I agree with Kai. But this is a pro Yang video. We're kind of easing into the stream here. Let's go ahead and look up something that might not be so pro Yang. You know what I'm saying? There's some stuff out there, believe it or not. You know what I mean? Some of these hardcore Bernie bros pretend like Bernie didn't support Hillary in the last election. If you'll support corruption one time, you'll support corruption another time. Said it 1,000 times. I'll keep saying it till I'm blue in the face. So let's check this out. Now, I normally like the Humanist Report. I'm sort of a fan, especially since I've been a little more progressive here lately, because Yang been kind of winning me over. But a lot of times I disagree with him, and especially those times when he talks about Yang, I really disagree with him. So let's find that video. That video, where's it at? Let's see here. Aha. 75% dislike ratio. And these are his fans, man. These are people who like him. That's not Yang Gang just coming over here. I've already debunked this video, but let's go ahead and watch.
We're feeling great about the campaign tonight.
He's got a Bernie ad, of course he does. Bernie's probably only advertised on his channel. All right, here we go.
Back in April, when I interviewed 2020 presidential contender Andrew Yang, I asked him about Medicare for All because what I was seeing from him with regard to healthcare was contradictory. On one hand, when you go to his website, he clearly says he supports Medicare for All, but when you look at the details, well, it seemed like he supported a public option. So I asked him to...
Wrong. See, he's already conflating the issue. Yang is for Medicare for All. He wants to have a Medicare for All plan. He is just not for completely uprooting privatized option, the private option. And he's automatically acting like it's either A or B. There's no mixture of the two. They say private option is the only reason why healthcare is not efficient and it's corrupt. Don't you think that if the government has 100% complete control, of one facet of the American society, you really think that that's going to be efficient? Really? I mean, our wars don't take 20 or 30 years, do they? No, of course they don't. Really, every time anybody goes to, any sort of government, you go get your license plate, you're standing in line forever because they're just so inefficient. The government is, you don't need more bureaucracy, and this is what he's advocating for. Yang is saying, yes, you should have a plan where people who are disenfranchised, maybe down on their luck, below the poverty line, can go get without being putting their entire family in debt, can go get health care. But if you want to pay for a premium package, say no matter what happens to you at any time, you don't have to pay any cost whatsoever, then there's this for you if you happen to have the money. But as the system we have right now is, you're poor, yes, you can go to the doctor and they can't take you away, but you will be slapped with tens of thousands of dollars. And guess what? If the government completely takes control of the healthcare system, you're going to have 10-20 year waits for heart transplant surgeries and stuff like that, just because they're not efficient. So much red tape you're going to go through, so many more paperwork you're going to have to file, and believe me, insurance won't go away. Insurance lobby is too strong for that. So he's already making it seem as it's either this or that, and this is good and that's bad, and the fact that you're for a mixture of both is just completely insane, when the majority of America would rather have it that way. And plus, when you're getting $1,000 a month, you can kind of, even if there was a Medicare for All, you could use that money for a Medicare plan, right? So that's from a private option. Let's continue. It's only 24 seconds in. Damn, I'm sorry.
Clarify when he was on my program. This was his response. When you go to your website, there are 3 key policy planks. So the first one, of course, is UBI. The second is Medicare for All, and the other is human-centered capitalism, which I guess is more of a philosophy, but I still think that that's pretty helpful because it kind of gives us a sense of what you believe in. Now, going to Medicare for All, when I click on Medicare for All, what you seem to be describing is more of a public option, and at the CNN town hall you did, somebody asked you about healthcare, and you said that you're firmly in the camp of Medicare for All / public option, But my question to you is, these are two very different programs. So which one is it? Which do you actually want to implement as president?
In my book, it's like I was a little bit ambiguous in terms of those two things as well. But I've come to believe that that a public option would be better, and also to enable a better transition. And the goal is to make it, frankly, such that most private insurance has no place in the market, and that you get rid of it. With the save for perhaps a few super gold-plated concierge things that might not be a bad thing for the American people, because if some really rich people are spending lots of money on esoteric treatments, then we can benefit from that research and the money. So at this point, the plan that I saw that I've now gone on board with has been bringing down the Medicare eligibility age over time as a phased rollout, and then make it so that all Americans become eligible for that. Try and get the prices down and the access up, and then essentially squeeze out the private insurers out of the marketplace and demonstrate, because most consumers, if you tell me, hey, I've got this low cost quality public option, I'm going to embrace that. I'm going to jump on that, and you can make that happen, I think, much more expediently than if you were to make private insurance illegal.
So he supports a public option.
All right, hold on. So y'all still can't hear the volume? Seriously? Like it's up there. I mean, let me hear it. Let me see it real quick. Let me see. Where's it at?
He does not support Medicare for all. He made that clear. Although in spite of that position, on his website till this day, one of his big three policies is still Medicare for all. Now, since many people didn't see that portion of my interview, and since he still has it on his website, there's widespread belief that Andrew Yang supports Medicare for all, but in fact, that's not the case. Although, thankfully, somebody asked him about whether or not he supports Medicare for all, and he clarified, and this clip is actually getting a lot more traction, because I think people need to know where he stands. And he made it very clear, he does not support Medicare for all.
I support the spirit of what Bernie is trying to accomplish. I do think that outlawing private insurance in a very short period of time is a bit too disruptive, and I would not do it.
So there you have it. Case settled. Andrew Yang does not support Medicare for all.
Okay, so I love how he cuts off just a snippet where he doesn't have any more of the nuance. Let's rewind it where he says, let's rewind just a little bit. He says that he does not support it 100%.
Eliminates private insurers. Does that mean that you do not support the Bernie Sanders Medicaid for all bill?
I support the spirit of what Bernie is trying to accomplish. I do think that outlawing private insurance in a very short period of time is a bit too disruptive, and I would not do it.
So there you have it.
No, that's not there you have it. He did not say he doesn't support Medicare for all. He said he does not support Bernie Sanders' Medicare for all bill because it completely cuts off everything. Imagine if you wake up one day, you wake up tomorrow, and all of your insurance that maybe through your job or just that you're paying out of pocket right now is completely gone. All of your prescriptions, all your medical necessities that your mom, your grandmother, your aunt, you might have, your cousin has, is just all completely gone, and you have to go to a government office tomorrow and see what they're going to do for you and who your doctor is going to be. Imagine that. That's what he's advocating for. And Andrew Yang is just realistic about that. You can't do that. You're going to have a massive uproar. You're going to have lines around the block of every single doctor's office. People are who's been going to their doctor for years is going to now suddenly have to go wait into a government line and figure out how much the government's going to help them and if they're going to give them the exact same what they had just the day prior. That's too crazy. That's just crazy. And he just pretends like it's cuts Andrew Yang off completely and just pretends like, oh, that's it. You know what I mean? And they go on to actually follow up. But It's just so disingenuous. And he's a one-issue person. Bernie Sanders is a one-issue person, and he's a Bernie bro, one-issue person. I'm sorry, Medicare, that's not the only issue in America. We have automation that is... You go to Walmart right now, and there is... what, 3 lanes open, and the rest are automatic checkouts. Every single time there's an automatic checkout being rung up, that's one person who hasn't got a job. And what you're worried about is making sure everybody has to be on a government plan, a mandate. That's crazy, man. That is crazy. And plus, Bernie Sanders is going to support corruption again. That's the way it is. They're going to get in there. They're going to water down his bill just like they did with Obamacare. We've seen it time and time again. You just want to keep us in this this ever-ending perpetual limbo of not knowing what to do because the government tries to take control of everything. And it's crazy, man. It's crazy. And he obviously doesn't get that. He doesn't get that at all.
Case settled. Andrew Yang does not support Medicare for All. Now, I have sounded the alarm about... Marianne Williamson, Tulsi Gabbard, Andrew Yang, and people say, well, I'm not being accurate, I'm not giving them enough credit.
You're not.
Giving them the benefit of the doubt. But let me tell you this. Politicians, if they are vocalizing to you any little bit of uncertainty about a particular policy, we have a reason to panic because politicians, they have to prove to us that they support the policy.
I think he does need to be corrected, doesn't he?
Just expressing support.
I might be able to clip this stream.
This day and age, that's not enough. Like, you have to really look at the details. You need to press them to make sure that they prove to you that they support these policies.
No. Prove to you that they support Bernie's policies. There's so many different... When you're creating a bill... There's so many different I know this because I used to be a state director of Wolfpack, and when you're reading our actual Wolfpack bill on getting big money out of the political system, you can switch one little word in there, and it could change the entire thing on its head, and everything that did mean what it meant didn't. And that's what happened with Obamacare. They changed just a select few things, and it became very watered down. And he's saying that you have to say... this in these exact words and pretty much be a duplicate of Bernie Sanders before you ever even think about getting my support. There's no other gray area, no other window. There's no other anything that could possibly be done about Medicare besides what I think my candidate wants. That is such an ideologically driven bubble. That's just crazy to me. You know, Yang supporters are so unideologically driven that Yang could come out tomorrow and be like, you know what, I've actually changed my mind on this. I've looked at the data, and actually I think we should be going this direction. And guess what? If the data made sense, we would be on board. Not because we're in a Yang bubble necessarily, kind of are, but because the data shows that. We're not just saying that. You know what I mean? Bernie Sanders came out and supported corrupt Hillary. She literally conspired with the DNC to cheat against Bernie in places like little bitty Humboldt, Polsey County, Kentucky, where only 4 potential voters could have been Democrats. Like, it makes no sense. And they cheated him so bad, and he didn't ask for a recount. Hell, even Al Gore asked for a recount. It's constitutionally in your right to ask for a recount, even if, as long as the margin's within some odd percent, right? And guess what she did? She hired Debbie Wasserman Schultz after she got fired for cheating at the DNC, hired her to be her campaign manager, and then went on to leave us with Donald Trump. So as much as I do like Bernie, I don't want a Medicare mandate, and once you support corruption once, you'll support it again. Let's continue.
The fact that Andrew Yang now is saying, I don't support Medicare for All, this is good, but it's frustrating to me that he still has this on his website. Like, if you're watching this, Andrew, you need to remove Medicare for All from your website because you don't support Medicare for All. It's misleading.
He doesn't support it as you see it.
What he is conceptualizing with regard to healthcare reform is, if we do a public option, my goal with that is to kind of drive out the private insurance providers, right? Have something that's so competitive, that's run by the government, that people can buy into, that we're not really allowing much room for these private companies to compete.
Oh, you notice he says buy into. So wait, this isn't, just a little bit of a tax at the end of the year or something like that. No, we're gonna have to pay a monthly fee to go to this how is that any different than regular insurance? Instead of just insurance, you're replacing big government. And what happens if one day big government decides that their military is more important than the Medicare industry, and all of a sudden money starts getting funneled away from that, like education did? I don't think that that's really a great road to take. I'm kind of with Andrew Yang on this one.
The problem with that is it's totally unrealistic because a public option is doomed to fail. So this is why now when we're talking about healthcare reform, to settle for anything less than single payer, we're idiots if we do that. Because this is what's going to happen. If we pass a public option, we can make Medicare for all and the fight to get true single payer even more difficult long term to get codified into law. And I'll tell you why that's the case. Because as Dr. George Boumfock of Physicians for a National Health Program put it in a September op-ed for the Charlotte Observer, there are two fundamental reasons that a public option cannot work. The big solvable issue in our healthcare system is the 30% of every healthcare dollar that is squandered on administrative overhead, paperwork, the pre-approvals, denials, and appeals that are an integral part of myriad for-profit private insurance companies.
And that's only going to get worse if you let a big bureaucratic system like the government step in the middle of that.
That's around $1 trillion every year. Only a single-payer system like Medicare for All can cut that $1 trillion in half by eliminating that bureaucratic waste.
Yeah, he does need to think harder, doesn't he?
$500 billion can be redirected to providing comprehensive healthcare to all Americans. It's not free. We'll pay for it in taxes, which for most of us will be less than what we're currently spending on premiums, copays, deductibles, and other healthcare expenses. We'll pay less in the end for more healthcare for everyone. The other fatal flaw in a public option is that it will likely become the insurer of last resort to the sickest and oldest among us. The insurance playing field will be anything but level. As deficient as they are, for-profit insurers will cleverly market themselves to the young and healthy, leaving those who use more healthcare to the public option. Its costs will balloon, dooming it to fail to the delight of for-profit companies.
So you mean kind of exactly like Medicare is doing now? I mean, if you don't know this, if you're a poorer person or if you're a new mother, you automatically get put on a medical care system through the government, and they pay a lot of it for you. You know what I mean? We already have a public-private option, and that's already happening. And what Andrew Yang is proposing is to have a basic health plan for everybody to have the option of, and then if you want more, you can have more. And on top of that, what he doesn't go on to tell you is that this medical plan of Bernie Sanders will cost over $1 trillion. Now, why in the world, if Andrew Yang is viably, just looking at it pragmatically, right? Why in the world would Andrew Yang want to tack on an extra $1 trillion in expenditures when he's already got a VAT to counteract his $1,000 a month? That's going to be a whole other can of worms, and that's not the issue he's running on. His $1,000 a month circumvents that and solves it all, dude. So you're ideologically driven. And this guy his dude is right, but he's not smart enough to understand that there's still another way to go about it, and that's a UBI.
And once that happens, then Republicans, along with corporate Democrats, are going to point to the failure of a public option as evidence that government-run healthcare doesn't work.
Because it doesn't.
Then what happens?
It doesn't right now.
It's that much more difficult to convince people that single payer is the way to go.
If you have to do this much convincing, perhaps it's not the best idea.
For a public option, they're doing it to the detriment of Medicare for all single payer. Now, they might try to reason with you and say it's easier to get achieved, or it's one way, like Andrew Yang says, to kind of drive out the private insurance companies. But unless you are explicitly banning duplicative care, you are not going to get rid of these private insurance companies. And part of banning duplicative care means that if you really want to get rid of them, you have to offer comprehensive coverage. So that way all they can offer is supplemental, but you leave them not really much to offer, and then you basically make sure they go out of business. Like, this is very complicated, so it's easy for a lot of people to be misled by politicians who just want them to think that they have your best interest in mind. But by saying this here, Andrew Yang either doesn't know what Medicare for All and public option means and how they are different from one another, or he does know and he just wants you to think that he supports Medicare for All. But
no, it's actually the opposite way around. You don't understand exactly how it would work. You're living in this socialistic wonderland that everything would be beautiful and everybody would be perfect enough to have everybody be on this just one Medicare plan for all. It's just not feasible, man. It's just not feasible. And guess what? What are doctors going to say when they're forced to treat so many number of people a day because this only certain area of geographical location has enough doctors to support it? You know what I mean? When normally the lady would be able to have her own private insurance, and her own private insurance might be in the city over, and she has doctors there. Well, the government's thing would probably say, no, you have to go to this local area because it's more cost effective for us. It doesn't make no sense, man. There's just so many variables that completely get stripped away once you force a Medicare mandate on people.
Understand, he does not support Medicare for All. And when it comes to my vote, I'm not supporting anyone who doesn't support Medicare for All, because if you can't even support something that a majority of Democratic Party primary voters support that would save 30,000 lives.
A majority of Democratic primary voters support, not a majority of the populace, son. See, he completely tries to skew it, and then he gets so angry as if this is the hill you have to die on. When I'm sorry, yes, it will save.
It's per year.
How much was it?
Voters support that would save 30,000 lives per year.
30,000 lives per year. The common cold probably kills more than that. Okay, yes, that might save 30,000 lives a year. You know how many lives a year? How much lives that per year that UBI would save? More than that, son. There's so many people dying from not being able to pay their medical bills. They can use UBI for that. There's so many people dying on the streets, homeless. They can use it for that. People that can't afford to go to rehab to get off this drug addiction that the U.S. government has perpetuated constantly with this war on drugs. That's killing. You know what UBI saves? Hundreds of thousands. So if you really want to put it about saving lives, you want to save fewer lives because it satisfies your ideological side. Right? Yang transcends that. He's running in Democratic primary just because most of his ideas happen to be left-leaning. But he attracts so many people because of his common sense approaches that you are choosing to ignore just because you have an ideologically driven bubble. I hate to repeat myself 3 times, but it is what it is.
Then I don't think you have our best interests in mind. So I'm going to be supporting Bernie Sanders, who has never wavered on Medicare for All. He is one of 2 candidates.
Bernie Sanders wavered on Medicare for All as soon as he supported Hillary Clinton, who cheated against him. That's when he wavered on that. And if this one issue is so important to you, what about the climate? The climate change. You know what I mean? Like, our planet's dying. You don't care about that. That's not a bigger issue to you. More jobs that will never ever come back due to automation that's droving hundreds of thousands into poverty. That's not more important to you. The endless wars that kill more than that 30,000 people that you're talking about that would save, that's not more important to you. It's Medicare specifically. Anybody who doesn't support your exact version of how you deem Medicare for All necessary completely doesn't have anybody's best interest in mind. That is so far off the deep end that I don't understand why it's so this angst with Yang. I think it's because Yang is he absorbs Bernie Sanders voters a lot of the times. They get yanged constantly, and he also absorbs Trump voters too. And he's scared that he's going to pull a lot of Bernie Sanders support away, and he wants Bernie Sanders to win. So I think that's the angst towards Yang, because most of the time, if you go to his channel, he I agree with him a lot of the times. I really do, Joe Biden. Okay, boomer. See, like, I agree with him a lot of the times. I just based on this title, I agree with him. But he's so off on that one. So, Mike, I love you, man, but bro, yeah, you're just off on this one, bro. You're just off on that one. So what was the Matt Dizzle one we wanted to check out? Does he have an update on that on his channel? Let's check it out. Matt Dizzle. All right. Now let's go to. Let's see, Young Rip video, slave to industry 3 hours ago. Which one is it? Is this him? This isn't him. Yes, it is. Yang. I don't know. I'll wait for the chat to catch up here. Anyways, you guys let me know if you guys can get in Discord. Post a link if y'all have an archive link to that. Post a link. By the way, you can also hop in here and we can talk if you want. You know what I'm saying? It's no big deal. You can get on stream. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. Let's see. Sorry, I'm typing on the one hand here. Bam. All right, are we back, guys? We back? Sorry, something happened with OBS. Might be like a storm outside or something going on. I don't know. Let's see here. Let's watch this video because I wanted to check this out. But if anybody has that Matt Dizzle stuff, man, post in my Discord or in the chat. Something.
Google right now, you'll see there are robot strawberry pickers. There are robot machines now in use on farms around the country that are going to displace many, many workers. The goal should not be to try and forestall this progress. The goal should be to rewrite the rules of the economy so that it works for all of us. And my flagship proposal of a dividend of $1,000 a month for everyone in the country would help move the entire country forward and rewrite the rules so that we actually feel like participants in the gains of the 21st century economy, whereas right now more and more of us feel like we're being left behind.
Many of those workers, most of those workers actually are.
See, that's a classic thing they do. Whatever somebody is getting an applause, that's called stepping on the applause, and that's to make sure that they don't get. This guy is not necessarily, so against Andrew Yang. I just don't know if he really understands how to interview correctly. But when somebody's getting a big applause like that, you let them get their applause. You don't step on it. You know what I mean? Like Joy Behar did that with Tulsi Gabbard in that View stuff. Somebody said in the chat that what do you mean by war? War is just a very clickbaity term to say debate. That's the reason why I have open debate in the title as well. So yeah, that's just what it is. And also, you can hop in Discord. Anybody wants to talk, we can do that. Just get in this call waiting area. And yeah, let's go ahead and let this play for a little while.
Are immigrants. How would you help them specifically?
Well, I'm the son of immigrants myself. My parents met as graduate students right here in California. And I know that immigrants make our country stronger, more dynamic, both economically and culturally. The people who are here in this country who've immigrated here for a better life, we need to create a path to citizenship for those people over the days to come so that they feel like they have a path forward and are integrated into our country. Right now, we're in a situation that to me is unsustainable. We can't pretend that we can somehow deport 12 million plus people without collapsing regional economies and being inhumane in a way that would be completely against our values. Oh, it's true. It's a complete fantasy. And so we have to try and move forward and integrate these 12 million plus people into our society over time.
Here in California, income inequality is particularly severe, so much so that people are actually leaving the state. How do you plan to address income inequality specifically?
Income inequality has been with our country for a long time. It's getting worse now because of the extreme winner-take-all nature of the 21st century economy. But Martin Luther King in the 1960s, in 1967, was arguing for a guaranteed minimum income for all Americans. And Alaska, that's had a dividend in place for almost 40 years, has lower income inequality because everyone in Alaska is getting between $1,000 and $2,000 a year from oil money. And what I'm saying to the country is that what oil is to Alaska, technology is to the entire country. If we put a $1,000 dividend from the tech giants who right now are not paying meaningful taxes into our hands, we could ease income inequality immediately.
100%. 100%. All right, so you said, what was it? Let's talk Andrew Yang. What was it again? Was it? Let's talk. Was it Matt Dizzle? Okay, let's go back here real quick. Videos. Let's talk Andrew Yang. This one right here. That? What are you talking about? Do you want me to watch his live stream? I don't know about all that. Let's go to the main page. Let's see. There should be, gotta be. I'm so involved. There we go. First page. Let's say, oh, we haven't even checked out Paget's video channel. Let's check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. What got going on with her? Let's see here. When will the DNC realize Andrew Yang? Let's check it out. Let's check it out.
I need your help to add your name to our petition.
Where's Bernie get off these Yang channels? Man, come on.
All right, you guys,
bruh.
we have to hit 750 donations by tomorrow. Right now, it is around 11,376. 750K by the debate, and we are at 11K. So even if you can donate $1, please just donate $1. I just dropped $500 to the campaign, but this was possible because of hashtag stock banking. I talked about this before, and then for whatever reason it died down because people were not doing it, but it's real. Like, I just donated $500 because of stock banking, because you wait a month in order to take out the cash and then you can deposit it into your bank account. So we'll leave a link to that in the description below. You know, this happened, right? This was on CNN, and CNN has been good to Andrew Yang as of late, right? It can always change, but we need to give CNN credit for the last debate as well. And a lot of you guys probably saw this video, but I'm just going to play it for you guys.
Kerry Walker, co-owners of the Touchdown Tavern, both describe themselves as moderate conservatives. Both voted third party in 2016. She's opposed to abortion rights, but is considering a Democrat. Can either of you see yourselves voting for a Democrat in 2020? And which one, if so? Boy, that was a pained expression.
It is pain. I will tell you, I love Andrew Yang.
Obviously, he's very smart.
Oh, and he's funny.
I mean, there you have it. Like, two real life people who are Republicans, and they're saying that they would vote for Andrew Yang out of all of the Democrats. And this is a point that the DNC needs to start catching on to. And, you know, more and more of these media outlets, they are catching on to this and they're reporting on this, which is amazing. So give CNN some love on this. Erin Burnett also had Andrew Yang on her show last night, and she brought up this clip and she was asking him to talk more about that. So, I mean, I just love the fact that CNN is giving exposure to this story, because this is a story, right? This Asian dude who is giving every American adult $1,000 a month comes into the race, and he is somehow the guy who is polling away the most amount of Trump supporters in these swing states.
Yup.
That is the news that needs to be circulated out there more and more and more, and I believe that it will be. But in relation to this, you guys, but I had an interview with Alan Wilkins, a very passionate Iowan canvasser. Even though he lives in Nebraska, he still goes to Iowa like every weekend to canvas, which is incredible. And, you know, he was saying, look, we can win Iowa. We can win Iowa if we tackle the rural areas that are forgotten about, because a lot of it is red, right? So everything west of Des Moines is great territory in these areas, because they do not get spoken to about these candidates. Everywhere else, you know, they're flooded with ads. They're flooded with these.
All right, let's check out that Matt Dizzle video. You keep saying something about it. I'm going to scrub the video real quick. We'll check it out. We'll check it out. And it's this one right here. Let's talk Andrew Yang and Yang Gang. Let's see. Let's scrub it. Let's scrub it. Let's scrub it. Where am I going at? Give me a timestamp here. Who was it? Chris want to say it? Chris Baker? Chris Baker. Where's it at, Chris? Where's the timestamp at, son?
Black. Like, I wouldn't say that shit in a derogatory manner towards another person. The video was meant to shock the conscience, really, of MSNBC. White people are so sensitive, though, sometimes when black people talk about our struggle and stuff. And even equating Andrew Yang to a black person, I don't know how they felt about it. If you actually read it, black is hard. And what I'm saying, really treat black people better. Because if every time some black person says, hey, I want to talk about some black issues, and you go, no ID politics, no identity politics, get out of here. Black people gonna be like, fuck you.
I love Matt Desert Channel. He kills me, man. He cracks me up. He cracks me up. All right, let's see. Why my own video being recommended to me? My own live streams recommended to me. What is that? Oh, goodness. Let's see here. All right, let's watch this one real quick. Might be the end of the stream, but we'll see. We'll see.
It makes the rules, but the rules just changed.
New tonight, legalizing pot. Andrew Yang referencing the iconic series Breaking Bad with the tweet you see there of him surrounded by drugs in a hazmat suit. He did it to highlight his support for legalizing marijuana. Now, the tweet after these comments about marijuana by one of the Democratic frontrunners for 2020. Here's Joe Biden.
The truth of the matter is, there's not nearly been enough evidence that has been acquired as to whether or not it is a gateway drug. It's a debate, and I want a lot more before I legalize it nationally. I want to make sure we know a lot more about the science behind it.
Okay, boomer.
Out front now, Democratic candidate for president, Andrew Yang. So, Andrew, you think marijuana should be legalized nationwide, and you hear Joe Biden, he says he wants more evidence. He's concerned it could be a gateway drug. Are you sure Biden is wrong?
The team goes, yeah, Warren's already copied his UBI thing. She's saying basic income is good for people. Do you think any other candidates will copy Yang's UBI, and if so, who? Warren's already trying to. She's already talking about basic income would help support people. She's already trying to do that. So, yeah. And Yang said a long time ago that by the end of the campaign, a lot of people started sounding just like him. Because he's the only one running on this automation issue. He's the only one, guys.
Yeah, most Americans agree that we should be legalizing marijuana at the federal level, in part because it's already legal in several states. Many Americans are already using it for pain relief, and it's safer than prescription opiates in most every case. We also know that when we administer these marijuana laws, we're deeply uneven and even racist in the way we administer these laws. So most Americans agree that we should legalize marijuana, and that's where I am. I believe that Joe actually will end up evolving on this issue over time if he sees the same evidence that I have.
So on that front, there are a lot of confusing